Welcome to Angelo's Tennis. And who am I? Just a reminder for those who are new, who am I? I've been playing tennis. I've been playing and coaching tennis for 30 plus years. If you're watching this, more likely than not, whether you're a coach or a player, I've played more tennis than you, and I've definitely coached more tennis than you. So with that being said, this is going to be a short video. Please watch it to the end. You know how YouTube is. Like the video, subscribe, share it with your friends because my videos are going to be very important for tennis. In this video, I'm going to be talking about the forehand and a little bit about the backhand, but particularly I want to talk about the forehand. I want to talk about forehand variability, the variety, forehand variety, the ability to adapt. Because here on YouTube, okay, most of the videos that have a lot of views, and it's not just YouTube, it's all over the world. And coaches are teaching this, and I want to get into this idea of perfection. This is how you hit a forehand. This is a myth. And like I said, if you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe to my channel because I'm going to be doing a video on myths, big myths in tennis. And if you still believe this, you are under a spell. That's right, you are under a spell. There is not one forehand. I'm going to get into the entire thing as short as I can so that the video is not very long. I'm going to make it as short as I can possibly make it to show you that the forehand there's many different forehands. And if you go out thinking that this is the way to hit a forehand and this is the way you play, etc., I'm going to prove to you in this video that you're basically just sabotaging your own tennis. So I'm going to put a video up on the screen. It's not the greatest video. I'm just going to show you in one point myself recently hitting 3, 4, I don't know how many forehands are in this video. In one point, just in one point, a couple different forehand variations. And there's not really, if you watch the video, there's no way around it. You can't hit the same forehand for all 3 shots. Now, why is this important? Well, I talk about this in a lot of my other videos. It's important because the type of forehand you hit has a lot to do with a couple things. One, it has a lot to do with the oncoming ball coming at you. It has a lot to do with how your partner plays. It has a lot to do with conditions. It has a lot to do with what you are trying to do on the court. With that being said, you cannot possibly hit the same forehand every time, nor would you want to. Now, you may be watching this and you may say, well, when I play, it's not like that. I feel like I'm hitting the same forehand over and over and over again. And that may be true, and I'm going to tell you why in this video. Chances are, if you're watching this video, chances are if you're a rec tennis player, you don't even have to be a rec tennis player. If you're just not a full-time tennis player, chances are you're only playing matches against a few players over a certain time period. We call it a year. You're only playing a few players. Even if you're playing high school tennis, you think if you're playing high school tennis, you're only playing maybe a couple of your buddies, and you're not even playing matches. We're talking about matches. And you're only playing a couple of your buddies, and maybe you're playing 10 matches a year. You might play, that's 10 different kids, 10 different players. Or if you're playing USTA, you may play a season, you're playing 10 different players. And we're talking about singles here. So the reason why I'm bringing that up is because it's a very small sample of players that you're playing. So very well likely, if they're from the same area, they're being coached by the same coaches. If you're, say, a junior, particularly as a junior or a young, fit person, You're probably pretty fit. They're pretty fit. The ball is very similar. And as I said, you're probably getting taught by the same pros. You're going to the same tennis camps, etc., etc., etc. So the oncoming ball is very similar. That is going to fool you into thinking that this is the only ball you're ever going to receive. And in your little world, that may be true. And then you can hit the same forehand over and over and over again, ad nauseum. But here's the thing. Even if you don't have access to lots of different players to show you that what I'm saying is true, you're probably doing the same thing over and over again. And if you think about this, you just go back and reflect on your matches. You'll play the same player. Just think, you're playing the same player over and over again. The patterns of play, the feeling of the match is the same every time. And that's because no one's doing anything. Most of the time, you're just trading shots deep in the court, trying to hit the other person off the court, etc., etc. You're not actually hitting to spots. You're definitely not hitting to find targets. So that's one thing. And this is the second reason why, for the most part, you don't realize this, because you don't have the courage to do anything else. You want to hit the same big. You ever see these guys, 4-5s, juniors, etc. They come out. You've even been taught this, to start slow. All of them, not some of them, a majority of them will start slow with a big topspin serve and a big topspin forehand. And that's all they'll do until they get a lead. And that's what your tennis looks like. That's why you don't understand this. Now, another thing that happens, and this is what you'll see with the pros, because the pros have such a dominant serve, and you may have a dominant serve too. Think about this. You're serving the ball. It's an ace, it's a double fault, or the ball comes back and it's a sitter. And you're able to just do what you want to do with it. You get in position and you can hit the ball the way you want to hit it for the most part. May not be a sitter every time, but it's something that sits in front of you. You can move behind it and hit it. Based on either the player has a poor return. Again, as I said before, with the players that people are playing, they have no courage. They're just getting the ball back in the court. Or your serve is that dominant that you're getting that easy third ball. And this would be another reason why you're not realizing what I'm saying, because it makes the oncoming ball, continues to create that oncoming ball very similar, allowing you to hit a forehand that is repeatable, so to speak. And we see this a lot with the pros, which we're watching on YouTube, we're watching on television, which I haven't got into another point, that most of these videos that you're seeing on television, you're not seeing all the different forehands. They're showing the pretty ones because they're trying to get views. So they're only showing the pretty ones. But back to my point that the pros are doing this a lot because their serve is dominant. Not just the pros, but these big-time up-and-coming players, full-time players, they're taught this because this is almost it's almost inevitable. You have to do this. You have to have a dominant serve. You have to be looking for the third ball, and you have to be looking to put it away in order to compete, in order to hang. So these are some of the reasons why people do that. But that doesn't mean that it's right. That doesn't mean that what you're really seeing, you're being fooled. Because if you're watching this, chances are you need to have adaptability. You need to be adaptable, and you need to have more than one forehand. And if you're making mistakes, this is part of the reason why. Now let's look at the return. The same thing on the return. You can see a lot of pros do this. They're hanging back. You're getting these big topspin serves where you can hang back and just play a big spinny forehand or big spinny backhand back in the court. And that starts the point. And here goes the back and forth. The back and forth game from 10 feet behind the baseline. All the forehands feel the same. All the backhands feel the same. They feel amazing until you finally go for that shot, and then it's out or it's a winner. So the same thing happens on the return. And players can play out like this the entire time because, let's face it, it feels good. It feels good. It looks good. You think you're good until you meet a real player. Until you meet a real player who whoops your ass. And then you might say something like, well, I didn't play that well. It wasn't my day, etc., etc. Look, the truth is you don't know how to play tennis. That's the truth. And it's because you weren't trained properly. And now let's talk about the tennis pros. Let's say you go out. You go out to your lesson, You got this tennis pro. It's like Angelo said this, and this guy, this crazy guy on the internet said this, but who's this guy? He's not even teaching right now, etc. And I'm at my big fancy club with my pro who played for the University of South Dakota, or wherever the hell he played. Right? Or he was 500 in the world, and he says this. Well, just think about it. You got to use this is another thing. You got to use your own brain. Okay, you got to think for yourself, and that's what I teach on this channel. It's another reason why you should like, subscribe, share to your friends. If they don't like it, they don't know how to think for themselves. Go think about this. You really think. And I know a lot of people are gonna say, yeah, I do think this is true. You really think that you're gonna go out and learn that easy forehand from your tennis pro, and then you're gonna hit maybe a couple hundred, and then you're gonna go out and play your match outdoors. Your lessons was indoors. You're gonna go and play your match against someone you never played before in a tournament, and you're gonna all of a sudden be able to bring that forehand out. When you have this tennis ball, this crazy tennis ball, doing a million different things on the tennis court, but you think that you're actually that good that you're going to be able to do that you're going to be able to make that adaptation consciously. All the things that you have to think about. This is going to be my main point when you're on the tennis court. This is a principle in tennis. You want to get to a point where you're not thinking. You're thinking about what you want to do. You never want to think about your strokes. You never want to think about the arm. The closer to your body, if your thoughts are out to what you want to do, that's the best. The closer that your thoughts are to your racket, your hand, your body, the more it's going to mess you up. And now, this also, I understand that this can be, really depending on the person. Okay, but just generally speaking, most people, the farther away the attention, the less it's going to mess you up. You want to get to that point in your tennis. And one of the worst things you can do is to focus on your strokes. And I'm not going to talk about how tennis is developed. As I said, subscribe to the channel. There'll be much more. There's been many videos on this before. You're not going to get it all in one video. You do got to watch the videos till the end. Not because it favors the YouTube algorithm, because this stuff isn't being taught on YouTube. It's not being taught on the tennis court. I'm teaching it now. Get used to it if you want to learn this. This is how the pros do it. There'll be many, many, many videos so you can put these pieces together.